Hey guys, and welcome to episode 57 of Dad Knows Best. I am Harrison Mudge, proud father of one, and to my right, Adam Callow. How the devil are you? Father of two, by the way.
I'm good, man. It feels like about 57 weeks since we recorded a show, to be honest.
Well, we've kind of shifted, what's the word?
Cadence?
Cadence is a great word. Because, I mean, it kind of got to a point where it was just... not
is that a summary?
I don't want to say podcast for podcast's sake, but the whole point of this was to kind of go on the journey of children. Having a child
and teach people how to be better dads.
Exactly. Life lessons, skills, as it were.
Oh, inbound hate mail.
Hey, we can dream. But what's happened is there's obviously not just been less things happening. But what I've found is there was lulls. So even if you go back and listen to some of the shows, it's like, yeah, he's getting on all right. He's growing, he's crawling still. So it just kind of got to the point where we'll just chat when there's something important to chat about. And today is a very important day.
Ooh.
So for anyone that's new to the show, this is where we jump on the mics whenever we feel necessary and discuss what it's like to be a dad or a mum. If you're a mum listening to a clearly father-centric show,
we've
just
got
to see how
podcast
nonsense.
Called Mums Don't Know Best.
That's a private feed that won't see the light of day. It's usually around a few beers, no mics, and just a lot of venting.
Especially when we're out of earshot of the other halves.
She's not listening right now, is she? So I wanted to come on today, and as you'll see from the title of the episode, I wanted to talk about babies' first steps. Because Elliot is now walking, which is a pretty mind-blowing experience. And when I originally sort of started making notes, so what I was confused about when he started walking, and I'm using air quotes for that, is because I don't know why, I don't know what gave me this impression, and tell me what you think. But I thought that when they learnt to walk, it was like they finally get it. They walk. Now they're walking.
It's not like a giraffe.
Well, from what I'd seen,
because that's what happens in the wild. They have what do they do with these legs, and then they walk, and then you never see them worrying about how to walk again. Is that what I'm hearing? Is hold on, why is he now crawling again? Is he fucking going backwards?
Well, kind of obviously when he started doing it, he was initially fine. Pardon the pun, but finding his feet going from the corner or small gaps or whatever. But when he sort of got it a little bit, I thought that they kind of got it. And I don't know where I must have seen some stuff about. I think it might have been a Netflix documentary. These kids that all of a sudden start walking, but I think maybe they'd not walked for ages, and then they'd started.
There must be something special about them. They're on a Netflix documentary.
Well, no, it was kind of just about babies that learn to walk. But it just kind of, I don't know. Maybe I just misinterpreted it. Maybe because of all I saw was the moment where they started walking, and I just assumed, oh, he's walking now.
If I remember rightly, with my two boys, is when they learnt to walk, they would kind of explore that, but when they wanted to get somewhere quickly in the room, they'd drop and shuffle, and crawl. So there's that transition stage, right? It's quicker.
They're learning to walk, but it's still a new skill that they've just not got nailed. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly to your point. That's kind of what's happening, is that that he was going between small gaps, taking one or two steps, and interestingly enough, before he was doing that, he actually just was stood sometimes without holding on to anything, which I thought was really interesting, because he would be stood when he was distracted by watching TV, for example. So he'd be stood up, leaning, holding onto your knee. Say you sat on the floor with him, he's holding onto your knee, and then he might just twiddle his thumbs or something, but he's just zoned into something else. But as soon as he realised he wasn't holding on, he'd drop down and go on all fours, which is weird, because it's but you've just been stood.
He doesn't know that, though. He was zoned out. He suddenly looked down and gone,
shit!
Drop and roll!
Yeah, so it was funny seeing that happen as well. How he's just like stood, and like every now and then you'd see him and you'd be holding him, and then you could kind of like pull your hands away, and he'd just be stood.
How are you dealing with the fact that when he's like getting into places that there's potentially like places for him to? Because I remember we used to have a coffee table at Leicester, and that coffee table had sharp edges, and it scared the crap out of me watching him like around it. We ended up literally just putting it on its side and pushing up against a wall as he was finding his feet.
Yeah, so interestingly, so to fast forward a little bit, he's now walking loads more, to the point where the other evening, he had for some reason had a really late night. It was a weekend, so we didn't take him to bed or anything. We just let him stay up for a bit, thinking he would have a lie-in, which he didn't, for some unknown reason. Clearly not my son. But yeah, so he was walking around for ages. But yeah, to the sharp edges, there's not really that many in our house, weirdly enough. There's edges, but like for anyone that's watching, like the table we're at now it's a standard table height, but we don't have anything like that in the house where he'll walk about, which is really interesting. I've not even thought about it, to be honest, because the kitchen.
You now look perplexed about your own house.
Yeah, how bizarre is that? We don't have any normal tables. So the kitchen table's quite a high one, so we've got bar stools type things. So if he's in the kitchen, the only things he would potentially bump into is like handles on the drawers and stuff, which is weird.
Which is an interesting one for me. Is like when he gets more
discovery of my own house.
when they got more mobile, they just got into more stuff, and then I kind of looked. Me and Sarah looked around the place as like, this place is not safe right now. Because even stuff
you must have had like a coffee table and I'm assuming.
But it's like a coffee table, even stuff like, because of the layout of how Leicester used to be, it would be like an open plan kitchen diner. Mm-hmm. So you could be sat there, and if he was calling around the room, he could stand up and now reach the knife drawer as an example, an extreme example, but he can get up and he could pull the drawer. And we kind of looked at everything and was like, ugh, everything that he can in theory now stand and grab, we need to second guess everything in the house and work out what we do. Yeah,
he's kind of doing that. So like, for example, when he's in the bedroom, he will slide our wardrobe door open and shut. He's pulled the drawers that are in the wardrobe out sometimes, and we've got a IKEA wardrobe drawer unit, which probably about 90% of the population also have the same one. So the Malm. I think and he doesn't really. I think they're quite hard to pull out, to be fair, but he doesn't really pull those out. He's not always in the kitchen, because we put a barrier between him and Frank just to make it easy, so we can leave both of them without worrying about it. He's not always in the kitchen loose anyway, so maybe that's part of it. But in our living room, we've got like one of them IKEA units with drawers and stuff.
Kallax.
A Kallax, yeah. It's like an advert for IKEA. And he's less he has played with the drawers and stuff a little bit, but the thing he's more interested in is like the friggin' Xbox that's on the top of the unit.
Yeah.
Because it's a black box with a white Xbox logo, and it's not a button, it's a touch button, so it doesn't even have to like click in. He just has to brush his finger on it. So the amount of times you just look over and you see him, it's like, Elliot, no. Turned it off.
So if he's walking now, because I remember getting into a mild little Barney with Sarah outside, I think it was Clark's at Leicester Foss Park. Don't know why I went into that level of detail. I'm going down memory lane here.
Roughly 7:15 a.m.
And we spent like 35 quid on some trainers for a kid. And I was just like, they're going to outgrow them within like 3 months. What's going on with footwear?
This is the great question, but this is a disgusting fact, is that children's shoes, I don't know why I said school. I think I was going down school shoes maybe. Or I've just got child schools on the brain. Kids' clothes, I mean, some of them are cheap, but like, it seems to be that you would think that something that's like a third of the mass of an adult garment would be like a third of the price. But like, shoes don't seem to be that, and especially like, we looked at Clark stuff as well, and that was their shoes are like 30-40 quid for a pair.
35. I remember 35 quid. I was like, he's going to outgrow those in 3 months.
And you know me, I've got a weird relationship with shoes anyway. I pay quite a lot for my shoes.
That's not what's weird, is you have a weird relationship with brands and value, and the one place I see you splurge is shoes.
Well, I realised this, and I was thinking the other day, like, what's the deal with this, Harry? What's your shtick? And I realised that this is one
Found
of
your
this
shtick.
is one
Where
of,
was
this
it?
is one of the what's the deal? The shoes that I buy, maybe because of the whole history of not being able to get them and all that jazz, that they finally fit and everything, and the shoes I buy genuinely bring me joy every time I look at them, whether they're on my feet or on the shelf. Like, it's probably there's very little things I can say that about in my life, ignoring the family. Like, when it comes to like objects and stuff. But yeah, shoes are like the shoes that I have now are genuinely something I look at and I'm like, oh, I like them. So
I'm glad you nailed that as well, because I think that's important, because we've had loads of conversations about brand and I've never been able to like put my finger on it. But that is the thing, is certain stuff just brings you joy because you wear it or you own it.
Yeah, and like why it brings me joy is probably a bunch of different things, but I think just the best way to explain it is I will pay what I pay for them because it brings me joy is the easiest way to explain that. And
it's an interesting realization, by the way.
Yeah, but I kind of caught myself the other day looking at the shoes on my feet and going, I still like these, man. I really like them. And I realize it makes me smile inside when I'm looking at the shoes on my feet. Anyway, it's really weird. I've done a video of
the shoes,
of some of the shoes that I've got.
Have you?
on my YouTube channel. Yeah. So if you've not already searched Dad Knows Best on YouTube, you'll find this podcast and other videos. But yeah, I want to do more videos on the shoes that I own. Not that many people might care.
You should send them like this snippet, that brand. I'm not going to mention it in case they're not sponsored yet.
Well, Vivo Barefoot. But on that note, because I know where you were going with this, and you were like, Harry, you're a value seeker. And I'll be like, Adam, that's a great point. Why would I overpay for child's shoes when they're going to grow out of them? And I completely forgot. But because I've done a video of the shoes and the brand, there's a referral link which I can drop in the bottom of this video as well. So people get 20% off when they order their first pair of shoes. I also get 20% off as well. So like, I'm not even paying full price for the shoes.
How much were the shoes? How much were Elliott's shoes?
Full price, they were 60 quid. So it's a little bit, but in my mind in the first place, before I was going to get the 20%, so I will admit that I would have still paid it. But it was like, but if I'm going to pay like 40 something quid for a pair of his shoes anyway, may as well stump up the other 20.
I'm really,
I don't know how much, I don't know if I should say this, but they have a 100-day return policy. Mm-hmm. So you can wear the shoes for 100 days and send them back if you don't like them. And that's applicable to kids' shoes as well.
Wow.
So, I mean, we'll see how Elliot finds his new shoes. And if he's not really getting on with them, they might have to send them back and see if there's an alternative pair
next size
that
up.
might be a size up. I don't know.
Sounds like my Audible subscription. They let you return a book. I'm like, okay. I buy 12. I listen to it, I return it, and I get like $40 for the price of 12.
That's bonkers.
They've stopped that now. Listen, the reason I mention it is it makes me smile inside. On the bigger subject, and I think we might have with this before, is you used to give me so much grief. Mm-hmm. And we know this. This is like...
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I will stand by everything I said as well. But carry on. Before I defend myself, attack me.
I'm not asking. I'm not attacking. What I'm doing is I'm taking it here, put it on the table for us both to talk about.
Absolutely.
You used to give me a lot of grief for my spending, specifically on stuff for the kids, where it would seem extravagant. Example, I remember specifically there was a photo of me and the boys, and it was when I was a little bit skinnier. But
relevant or not?
Yeah. At Bicester Village, there's a kids polo Ralph Lauren shop, and I could get into the biggest kid size t-shirt, so was skinnier. Just caveat that. So I managed to buy me and the boys all matching polo t-shirts, and there was a photo of the boys wearing polo t-shirts, and you gave me grief.
Yeah, I think that I would probably still give you grief.
Why?
Because, and this is maybe the weird relationship. It's like if you all had the same pair of Vivo shoes, I'd be like, nice choice, mate. But the fact you're all wearing Ralph Lauren polos, I'm like, that's way too expensive for a t-shirt. Even if it was just you in one, I'm like, why you gotta buy Ralph Lauren, man? Just get a next one.
But the interesting thing is, when you gave me grief, you didn't even ask me how much it was. You just jumped to giving me grief.
Because the assumption is it costs more than you need to spend.
So it was Bicester Village. The 3 t-shirts collectively cost about 38 quid. Which isn't bad.
It's not bad. For an adult garment, £10 a t-shirt is not bad.
But to your point that you just highlighted is it gave me joy to have that with my two boys.
Yeah, and I definitely
feels like there's a big realization here, which I like.
Realization.
I remember this is the level of detail that I remember. So I remember walking to the gym, walking to the gym with you in Birmingham.
Mm.
Early
time ago.
Yeah.
Look
I told you.
Look at us now.
I used to be able to fit into those t-shirts. I told you. And I don't know whether you remember this conversation, but we were coming down the steps, and I asked you, like, what does a brand mean to you? We were talking about brand, and we kind of got into like a really good debate of like, you were like saying, pair of jeans. You were on I think we'd literally just walked past Primark as well in Birmingham. You were like, Primark, it works, they're inexpensive, they serve a purpose, they're comfy, they last, and I can replace them. And I was trying to defend like what brands and why I like them, and I never used the word that you did, which is like, it just kind of makes me feel happy. Like, I like that. But I think there's a realization coming through.
Yeah, but
brands can give you joy
on that side of things though as well. Like I think if you could get just using garments in general, like, or the shoes or whatever, if you can get what you would perceive as practically identical for half the price, you probably would, right?
But here's the question, is if you could buy the exact same shoes that didn't have Vivo on them and they were completely unbranded, would you?
If they were cheaper, probably.
Okay.
But it's whether you could guarantee that they're as good, like, as in, are they going to just fall apart because they're...
No, I think my point is, like, this t-shirt I'm wearing, Gymshark t-shirt.
You sponsored that for me. Link in description.
So, like, this t-shirt cost about 18 quid. Okay. And if you say to me, Adam, you can have exactly the same t-shirt without the Gymshark logo for £9, I wouldn't buy it. I'd still want this one. Because I don't know what it is about the brand, but the brand means something to me and gives me joy on a wear.
But that then is because you're buying the word on the front of it, right?
I think it's
because like I buy Next plain t-shirts because Next make the best quality I can find of a plain garment, but I would never buy a garment. I'm not buying that garment because it does or doesn't have a word or a label or a logo on it, right?
No, it's I think there's a third option here, which is I'm buying it because it's Gymshark, but if you took this off here and put it on the inside of the neck where no one could see it, I'd still prefer to pay the extra £9. I think that's where you have a connection. I like what the brand stands for. I like Ben Francis. I like what they do, like that. And I think there's something there, which is it's not about that being on the front. It's about I like what the company... And I think that's the same with you and Vivo. Like, you like... I've heard you talk about Vivo in a way that is less price-driven and more about, like... I think there's a sustainability piece.
There is. That just helps justify
you make a decision. Okay, fair enough.
But like, I'm not like, oh, but they're like I've got a pair that are completely vegan friendly. Great, like whatever. It's good to know that companies are making these efforts to be more considerate. Sweet, good for them.
So you got Vivo for L right now.
Mm-hmm.
What's next? Brand.
His next size up. Honestly, the only thing I'm really fussed about is the things that are on his feet.
Okay.
Partly, again, and this probably goes back to why I'm so passionate about the shoes, is because I know the not pain, but the emotional turmoil I went through life finding shoes and stuff. So like, to me, it's just become a way bigger issue in my mind than
it's interesting.
Everything else.
Yeah, like,
the other clothes, it's like, cool, you can get clothes for pretty much any size you are, so just try and find a good blend of quality to cost or value. The shoes, it's like all the big name brands, it was always a big deal to find any that could fit, and then I found finally at the age of whenever I first started getting them a few years ago now, like late 20s, found a pair of shoes that actually fitted comfortably from the moment I got them on and ticked all these boxes. So that's a weird like personal journey that I'm now imprinting on my child. So I do understand that, but. And I've kind of already come to the agreement. I'm like, I'm gonna pay a lot for shoes for this child for the rest of my life.
You kind of open that Pandora's box up now, but that's cool. I think it's nice the fact you're owning that, and like you said, there's probably some deep emotional root in like your relationship with shoes. I'm looking forward to seeing if there's anything else that pops up, because it sounds like the stuff that means something to you, and I think what all parents do is like the stuff that either we had as a kid and valued, or we didn't have a kid but wanted, we now try and give to the kid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's interesting to see how it manifests.
So, on that note as well, actually, kind of what a weird shift in conversation this is, but it's...
I have a topic for next time, by the way, that I want to bring up.
But we spoke about like tech and hand-me-downs and stuff like that, right? So just with the brands, we're iPhone users, right? And we talked about the iPad for Elliot and stuff, and he's just got a hand-me-down iPad. But like, how do I say this? It's like you can get a cheap Android device now. For anyone that's an Android fan, you're about to hear a lot of Apple love, but it's like, I would rather them just have an Apple device that we've already got and hand it down to them, rather than go through the pain of like an Android device. But that's like a weird. This is what we have. This is how we do it. Just have this, because even though you're a 6-year-old that's not going to know any better, you're just going to have my hand-me-down iPhone because it's better and it's more reliable. And I
feel like you're like fucking your kid over if you have an Android device, though.
Well, yeah, I know. Like, the child abuse takes many forms, and Android is one of them.
That's probably the most prevalent. That's probably the most prevalent.
But it's just weird how you align yourself
100%. Your habits, right? And there's the positive. There's probably like a couple of conversations we could pull out of this for another day, but it's kind of like how you have to be really conscious of how your habits get manifested in your kids. Yeah, like even just like using the device at home. I'm so aware of like, if I'm watching with the kids, like Riley literally now will pick me up and it's like, Daddy, no screen time when watching Avengers, or no screen time when we're having breakfast, and he'll pick me up on it because I'm trained. I've consciously said, cool, this is like tech-free zone, we do this. And that's a really healthy thing for me to put into the kid's head, because then he pulls me up on it. So then he's like reinforcing, we don't use our phones when this happens.
Yeah, it's good that he's actually saying that to you.
Yeah, so it's like, I think the point is like, there's probably an interesting conversation. There's probably a bunch of things where the stuff that I do, the kids are picked up on, and you have to be really conscious about the habits you give your kids and like the beliefs you give your kids of like, iPhone is good, Android is the devil. Like,
well, I need to be aware that I don't give my child a complex about his feet in shoes. You know what I mean? Because I'm just like, cool, these are the ones that will fit you and like a good long time. But in his mind, he might be thinking, if I put a pair of Nikes on, they're gonna fucking snap my ankles.
Hit me with them.
Don't bring them in. But like, yeah. So with shoes, just to tie a bow on that one, is like,
tie a knot.
So don't get me started on tying laces, mate. I tie my laces like a psychopath. I have to like knot it over, keep a finger on, do the bow over it, and then like pull the finger out last minute. You'd have to see it.
I don't want to.
But it's like, I remember showing it. People are like, why are you holding your finger on the whole time? I'm like, because otherwise it comes loose. It's a whole thing.
I learn stuff about you every week still after all these years.
Yeah, but yeah, shoes. I think the other reason I'm buying these shoes for Elliot as well is because it means that I get to buy more of them. Because obviously, I get to buy him more and get to buy more for him, and smaller versions of what I've got, which is cool. But I also bought myself a pair. I'm saving 20%.
I'm here. I'm there as well.
Exactly.
But I think there's like a subconscious thing there as well. It's like you found something that gives you joy and you want to pass that on. Like it's probably less about like if you had like a thing about, I don't know, nice t-shirts or whatever, you'd probably be like, well, I really value t-shirts, so I'm going to treat my son because it's something that I value and I value him, so he gets the best t-shirts.
And there's more. It wouldn't just be like, this is nice, so that's why I buy it. Like, because like we say, I look for value in things. Hopefully the other message he'll get across as well is like, this is expensive, but if you invest in the things that you like and are hopefully going to last, it's not money down the drain. Like jeans, for example, because I now know I can get some fairly decent jeans that will last a good enough while for like 11 quid from Primark. Why would I go anywhere else? But I totally understand why someone might pay £110 for a pair of Levi's that will literally outlast the fashion before they get a hole in. Like I get that, and it will always they'll piss all over Primark jeans, but you've just got to find that ground. Do you want to pay £110 for the jeans or not? I don't want to. Mm-hmm. And that's just...
There's a context for everything, and there's this whole least versus lowest that I got drilled into me by Jamie Fisher, which is it's not the lowest amount of money you pay, it's the least amount of money you pay. And the difference that is, if you, let's just say the jeans were £11, but they lasted a month, that's the lowest amount of money for the jeans today. But the least amount of money is how much will you pay for jeans in the long run, and that's the value point, which is like,
right, yeah,
do you know what I'm saying? It's like, then it's like, well, I'm going to pay £110 for the jeans because they'll last me 2 years.
Yeah.
Compared to 1 month, and that's the value. That's really what value is. It's that least versus lowest conversation and calculation that you got to do.
Yeah, and that's actually, especially in clothes, that's a big thing, because you heard of fast fashion. Well, it's like basically there's like Zara and all these other brands out there that churn out new fashions and new styles all the time, and people are going through clothes, so the clothes they're not necessarily designed to last because people throw them out and replenish them and this whole thing. So
that's crazy.
It's really interesting that that aspect is being almost manufactured into the product as well.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So weird.
I've got a topic for next time.
Yeah.
Savings for kids and ISAs and stuff like that.
Best get on that, actually, yeah.
I thought we could talk about that.
But yeah, so to wrap up, mate, turns out I've not got any sharp corners in the house for him to walk and bump his head into. Reaching door handles, opening doors. But yeah, we take him for a walk in the park now. He's got his shoes. That's why I got his shoes, because we're going for a walk in the park. I was like, lad, you're going to need some shoes.
That's pretty cool, though. That must be quite fun for you to see him walking about, because it kind of moves him to like being like a real little boy. They kind of then get quite active, and then
and he interacted with a friend of ours, lad Callum. He's crawling and Elliot's walking, but seeing them interact together, it's hilarious, because there's that like lack of boundaries. So like Elliot just goes up and grabs his dummy and rips it out his mouth, and then Callum's like, oh, and he can't get it back because Elliot's like walking off on one. But yeah, it's bizarre. That'll be cool when they're both walking and running around. It's crazy. Should we wrap it up, mate?
Yeah. I think it'd be interesting to talk about the savings and stuff like that in the future. I'm just doing some work on that right now. Yeah.
Are you saying that we're going to be giving financial advice?
100%.
Sell low, buy high? No. Buy high. Buy low, sell high. Jesus. That's why we're not FCA approved. Guys, thank you. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and if you can make it through my ramblings, thank you so much. I would say email, but we've had a change of emails, so if you can't see it, whatever it is on the screen, look in the description. There'll be a new email in there. Share the love. Thank you very much, guys, and we will see or speak to you next time. Bye.